So I just got back from Blade, Texas, and I was actually just about to do a what did I get video from Blade, Texas, because I got a lot of good shit. And I took a couple day break from Iran. And what I see is it looked like we went from winding down to revving up to this and that. And now my feelings of the provocation of WW3 are stronger than they've ever been. I'm a little nervous, Nancy, not because necessarily of the fight being brought here. It's mainly because of the amount of bread we might have to spend and seemingly the amount of casualties we could have if the strategic decisions that keep being made by the higher affect the tactical decisions that are made by the lower. I There's a lot going on. First off, the United States and Israel are preparing for a significant expansion of the war with Iran, and it seems to be that President Trump is kind of going back and forth with thinking about taking control of the Strait of Hormuz. I can't believe how fast this is escalating, how big it's going. This is a weeks long operation already. I predict 6 weeks, which will put us in the middle of April. There's still a chance for diplomacy, getting back here, spending bread here at the crib instead of asking for $200 billion more. But it seems like we may not be doing that. There's a higher than zero chance that instead of doing something like that, we actually end up spending more time and money overseas. And so, how are these reports looking out when it says that we're thinking about not only revving it up, Israel in us, but like what are some indicators that we're getting of that? Well, we saw that the 3-1 Mu taking off towards the Middle East. I'm assuming they're in River City. I'm assuming they're somewhere in that area. We're only getting like glimpses of where they are via like Chinese satellite imagery. But then we also see the 11th Mu, this one coming out of Camp Pendleton. We have the USS Boxer, the Comstock, and the USS Portland. So now three more warships heading somewhere in that general area. They deployed nearly a month early. And even if they were to go as fast as they could get in that area in about 22 days with no port calls, no workups, no nothing. That's highly doubtful. I'm thinking it could take them 30 to 40 days to really get there because they do need to do some workups and some port calls. But I mean, deploying early, sending an additional 2,500 Marines plus the sailors that accompany those vessels out there as well. That's at least 5 to 7,000 to 8,000 Marines that we may not even know about in the area already. I see escalation, but there is a little bit of good news. Okay, a little bit of good news because as it stands right now, it was this whole thing kind of got started because of us and because of Israel and some of the Middle East. Some of those states have jumped in a little bit. Qataris are flying around. Saudi Arabia is thinking about doing their thing. But apparently Japan is thinking about helping us out as well. I got the first report here. Japan is thinking about sending a little bit of help to the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if this is true, okay, we already know everything's going to be good. Matter of fact, we might be able to just go and pull up out of there because if Godzilla is able to make some stuff happen, we already know it's going to go down. You already know I'm kidding on this one because I have to find ways to kid because of how serious this could be. In all actuality, there is a British nuclear powered submarine somewhere in the Arabian Sea. We don't know where the heck they are, which is a good thing. They're ready with their Tomahawk cruise missiles positioned just in case they get orders from the UK to join the conflict, to help take out, intercept some missiles. Because although we keep hearing it, Iran clearly still has capabilities to do all sorts of type of launches. Even a new type of launch that I knew nothing about. Up until this point, we believe that Iran's capability for launching ballistic missiles was about 2,000 kilometers. But now we're seeing there's just some reports from the Wall Street Journal from multiple U.S. officials that they launched 2 strikes towards Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia is a island. It is in the Indian Ocean. It is a joint base for both us and the UK. It's 4,000 kilometers away from Iran, or a little bit over 2,000 miles. We did not know that they had the capabilities. Me, at least I didn't know that. I'm pretty sure hopefully we had some big brains in the CIA that knew stuff like that that puts places like Rome into interception, different parts of Europe, France, etc., where we weren't necessarily concerned about that. But if they're able to send that type of stuff off, it is hard to intercept that stuff. You are intercepting those things with stuff we don't know about, with last minute fighters, maybe with destroyers, etc., etc. But that's very concerning. So now we're seeing that they possibly might have the ability to launch a larger warhead. We thought that their ballistic missiles were being diminished, but it seems like they still have 1,000-pound warheads that they're able to strike. They started dropping these things on Israel, and this is something I saw from Malcolm Nance. He had a really good point. So this is some dramatic footage of some Iranian strikes that hit Israel in the Doman region earlier yesterday, and then they've been doing strikes tonight as well. I also actually have some cameras down below, right below me, that shows Israel right now if there's any strikes that go off. But Malcolm Nance says we really need to stop underestimating the IRGC enemy. They have not shown all of their asymptomatic capabilities yet, especially in the PNG and the SOH. See, the thing is that assuming that they are just done, if we just listen to our leadership, we're going to continue to be surprised. And I don't want us to be shocked and surprised because we're underestimating them. And that's something that could totally happen. Now we're starting to threaten to totally just get rid of all their civilian infrastructure if they don't bend the knee to us in the next 48 hours. And I'll talk about that here in a second. Here's some more footage of the Iron Dome of Israel missing a lot of interceptions, and a lot of cluster bombs are falling in Israel. I think that escalation is going to happen, not necessarily because the United States wants it to. This is going to be the reason. What you're seeing on your screen now will be the reason that escalation happens instead of diplomacy. And you saw it just today, a few hours ago. I'm sitting here enjoying my brand new knives, enjoying my brand new, I got a couple flashlights as well. President Trump sends this out on Truth Social. If Iran does not fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within the next 48 hours, from this exact point in time, the United States will hit and obliterate their various power plants, starting with the biggest one first. Thank you to your attention to this matter. Power plants, civilian infrastructure. That's normally a no-no in war. And I think there was just a meeting with the Israeli War Council. They had an emergency meeting after all the strikes that they took yesterday. I think Israel's going to escalate. And because they're going to escalate, I think that's going to push us to escalate as well. I think we're seeing the beginnings of this. I don't see this thing slowing down at any given moment whatsoever. And I think that Adam Cochin has the best summary of this when he says, based on an emergency meeting of Israel's war cabinet, I'm guessing Trump's threats are based on what Israel told them that they intend to escalate. The strike on Israel tonight was major. Israel tries to solve its problems by escalation. And so this is what I think makes the most sense. I think that Israel is letting us know, like, listen, we don't care what y'all about to do, okay? Pull up, whatever y'all want to do, just let it be known. We about to pull our balls out. We about to go ahead, drop them on their shoulder. You see what they just did to the homies? I mean, right now we're getting reports that there are hundreds injured in those strikes, maybe dozens dead in those strikes. And the Iranian military has already responded to these threats. They say, this is from the central headquarters in Iran. If Iran's fuel and energy infrastructure is violated by the enemy, all energy, information technology, desalinization infrastructure belonging to the U.S. and in the regime will be targeted. That means anything that they can get in range. Amazon's data servers, Microsoft data service, desalinization plants of like the Kuwaitis or the Qataris of how they get their drinking water, food storage for Saudi Arabia or for Qatar, hitting different bases or countries with these newly found missiles that we just learned about as the public, that I'm guaranteeing our government already knew about. And none of this has to do with like America first. What really has me like the most flabbergasted is that this seems to be escalating because of either the hubris or the pride of men, where I think there was threats. How big were they? Were they enough to where we need to start this? I don't know. I don't think so. But now that we're in it, I think that the people in charge are continuing the escalation trap where instead of just a few little strikes, it's expanding out because of pride. Because if you quit now, if you stop now, unless you totally rip out the regime, it is an L for the United States, at least in the eyes of many. For me, if you stop now and you don't rip out the regime, maybe it's a temporary L, but at least you back here spending money back at the house, spending money back on stuff that might make my pockets easier. Gas has gone up for me 40 cents in less than a week. Can easily see crude oil, just it going up over and over without any issues whatsoever. I mean, right now, last time I did a video, which was 2 days ago, it was around 93.50, 94.50. Now it's 98.09. And depending on if this does not de-escalate, there is a higher than 0% chance that we begin to see over $150 a barrel type of for oil. And that's not going to do anything to help us out, in my opinion, whatsoever. So what does all this mean? What I really think that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make decisions on if we choose diplomacy, if we choose escalation. I hope we choose diplomacy, but I'm nervous that WW3 is starting to slowly congeal and come together because these countries are not going to be happy. The Qataris, the Saudi Arabians, the Emiratis, the Kuwaitis, Iraqis, they're not going to be happy that they now have to spend 3 to 5 years to rebuild infrastructure that has been destroyed by Iran, and they may decide to escalate on their own. Do we go? Do we go full throttle? What if a NATO country's hit? Do we go full throttle? I think that the probability of a ground invasion is over 60%. Troops and folks that I know possibly having to go be put on the shores of Iran is higher than 60%. That's just my prediction. Hopefully we don't do it. We'll see if it happens, but maybe I'm wrong. Comment down below. What do you think? What do you think the probability of escalation, a ground war starting, all of that good stuff? First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. Everyone else, we'll speak soon.